welcome to Who Dares World's Mumbo Jumbo for the end of January is what I'm going to say. Here we are. It's been a bit of a disrupted release schedule recently. Obviously, we had the whole family had the lurgy. We were ill. It was fun. What joy it was. And then I was back to work, and that was fucking hell on earth because everyone else was ill and I got back. So yeah, it's been a week, and I feel a bit frazzled, but there we are. It's early morning on the Saturday. The clan are yet to rise. Isaac does like a bit of bedtime, mobile phone, chilling out time. So we might be all right. We might be safe as long as the dog doesn't do something stupid. Who knows? So yes, here we are. A lot to cover, a lot to catch up on. We are still going. I'm still here. But yes, it's been a journey. We'll catch all that up later on. Anyway, some news. No, what I've played. What the fuck have I been playing? Quickly after that, we played Dune Imperium the other week with both expansions, and I played that for a while. And it was really nice to get out to the table. Tony chose it. It was his birthday. So he said, hey, let's play that. I was like, let's do that. We also played April just before that, which he'd also picked. April we tore through. Really, that game is, once you know what you're doing, you can zip through that game really fast. A game I think is really good. I've said it and I say it again, April. It's not doing anything bells and whistles amazing, but what it is doing, the theme works for me personally quite well into the space beach thing. And I just like the action selection options you've got. And the puzzle it presents you, and it plays real quick. Actually, once you know what you're doing, 4-player game of that. So that was really good. I will again say, April, if you are looking for that worker placement sort of thing, it hits the basic. It's really good. I really enjoy it. Dune Imperium. Anyway, we played that. We played with the epic game mode because I couldn't remember quite what we were doing, so I put all the stuff out. So it did play a bit long. I do like Dune Imperium, which we will come back to. But yeah. A solid game with the expansions. I've not played it nearly enough, really, but I love the mix of tactics and strategies between the fighting going on the board and intrigue, and especially with all the other expansions. There's still meat on that game that I've yet to really kind of chew on. But I personally, being a fan of Dune, then it's the sweet spot. It's the other Dune game that I quite enjoy. If you've never played it, I mean, I know Lost Ruins of Anarch are very similar. It is a worker placement. The Dune theme comes through. For me, especially with the expansions. And the expansions add that little bit more interesting meat and potatoes to what you're doing. I'll have to do maybe a breakdown review of all of that. I think it might be a bad thing, actually. Like I did for Twilight Imperium. Like I did for 10 from Mars a little while ago. I'm presenting myself things to do. That's going to be whenever that happens. Anyway, so yeah, Dune, really good. And then we played the second game of Birmingham last night. Second play of that. The first play, will acknowledge, was mired with problems of our own making, of Ben's teach, which his own acknowledgement wasn't great. So we played it again. Well, I started, again, Brass Birmingham, I said before, very similar. Nucleum has stolen a lot of its DNA into its game. And last night, in fact, I'd taken Nucleum out because there was only 4 of us in the deranged ship. I said, well, look, if we've played Brass, we know what we're doing. We could potentially get Nucleum to the table. Although, actually, it was deemed, and I think quite sensibly, that we would give Birmingham another go, Brass Birmingham another go, because at least we knew kind of what we were doing in that. And I'm fucking glad we did, because Robbie was having a seizure all night. Anyway, Brass Birmingham, essentially, it is a game you've got to stack of cards in your hand. 8 cards is, I think, you start with. Those cards, when you play them, relate to either location or source of income, like a mine or steelworks or something that you will put on the board, either or. Your actions you can do are, you bin a card to do whatever the action you're doing. So you bin the card for a location to put a thing on the location. You bin a card for a facility to pop that facility somewhere on the board. The other kind of things you can do is you can get a loan, which gives a load of money. You can bin one off to trash tiles off your board, which does become important later on because there's tier 1 tiles that only function in the first stage of the game. So clearing them off can be a good idea. And there's another thing you can do. You can trade up a couple of cards into two basic wilds. So you're doing that. First time we played this, I did really well on this. This time I started out the gates really well. Had a really good first... it's not the Steel Age, whatever it was, the Canal Age. I had first Bronze Age. I don't know. The first round of the game, I came out of it all right. I thought I'd been quite efficient in the use of my cards and what I did. But in the second round, I made many, many bad decisions. Played wrong, used cards in the wrong place where I should have done something else, and basically kind of fucked myself. And didn't score very well. I think Bob won that one. I think, because he'd got lots of stuff on the board. And when stuff goes on the board, resources normally go onto it. And then when the resources come off, they flip and you give you more points and more income. And Bob had managed to scattershot so much stuff on the board that everyone else was using the resources off of it, hence flipping these tiles on his behalf and buffing his being, just doing him a world of good. So he was doing all right. Again, a game I still really haven't fully grokked. A game that just increases the terror that I have for Nucleum, because it's a fucking beast. So at some point we will get Nucleum played. I think we might play more Brass. I don't mind it. I don't know if it's necessarily for me, but I would happily play it again. Yes, that Brass. It's Martin Wallace is always good. Speaking of which, Bloodstones came out, and everyone's really raving about that, and that's one I could kick myself for, because it was just too expensive. If it had been cheaper, I would have had it. I'm hoping that we might see a reprint of Bloodstones, maybe with a cheaper buy-in, or we'll see, but that's sold out at the moment, so you ain't going to get hold of it. There's the buzz. I like a big war game. I like the idea of it. I like the tiles. I liked everything about it when it was out on GameFound. I just didn't like the price. And there were some some copies posted it to buy, but again, it was expensive. So I didn't, but I'll wait and see. I mean, I've got plenty of games. We don't need it, but just adjacent Martin Wallace discussion. Then we played Turing Machine, which is one of Ben's things. I think it was a Kickstarter of it. Must have recently got delivered. It is a game of, if you know Alan Turing and the Enigma machine, kind of using that as a basis of like a deduction game, essentially. And what you're doing is you're trying to find out I think it's a 4-digit or 3-digit pin, and you pick, every round you pick some cards. These cards are like program cards with like holes cut out of them, like one of those old computer things, and you assemble these 3 numbers together. They have 3 different numbers, 3 different colours, put them together, and then you ask questions of these computers on the table, which are cards, and there will be a question, or like, is the yellow number higher, lower, or the same as? And then you pick the card related to that, slot it behind the cards you're holding, and through the windows of the holes that you can see, it will give you answers to those questions potentially. And through that, doing that, writing that on your board and sorting out, you will eventually, hopefully, deduce what the number is you're looking for. Now, my brain with these games is anything like this, which is just really kind of pure mathy type stuff. And there's no real theme to this, really. It is just doing this process. I have a problem with that. My brain goes, why the fuck am I doing this? What is the end goal of this? What am I doing this to achieve? What journey am I going on? And when the journey I'm going on, I'm being told, is to do some homework, my brain goes, why the fuck are you making me do this? So I did warn, and I went, I don't think this is going to be for me, Ben. And Ben, I think, knew this possibly wasn't for me. So we started the game, and I picked some cards, looked at the thing, and I literally just went, I can't be fucking ass doing this, because it's just fucking homework. It was maths homework, and I literally went, I'm out. I'm out. I can't be asked to sit and do this. It's not going to be enjoyable for me. I'm just going to be going, why am I fucking doing this? So I just went, you carry on, have fun. Not for me. Robbie eventually engaged with it. Bob started playing it, and very quickly his brain also went, why the fuck am I doing this? Didn't they, Bob? What do you think, Bob, of Turing Machine?
Homework.
Well, there we go.
You've had homework.
Ben enjoyed it.
Not fun homework.
Surprisingly, he won.
My brain's rebelled
again. It. I mean, your mileage will vary. For me, fuck off. Fuck off with your Turing Machine. Absolutely no joy to be had for me. It's essentially the thing I can think closest to in regards to something I've played and enjoyed is, Ben said Bob's was, it's Cluedo, which basically it is Alchemists, the game for Czech games, where you trying to deduce the ingredients in chemical potions and stuff, but it's like a big sprawling thematic-y worker placement Euro-y thing, which has at its core this deduction process, similar sort of thing. But for me personally, it's delivered in a far more enjoyable, a thing I can get behind and enjoy the journey and the story we're playing out and what we're doing. This, nothing. It is pared down just to the pure mechanisms of what it wants you to do. And for me, I can't be asked for that. If I'm going to play a game, I want to go on a journey. I want to have something I can talk about, an adventure, a story, something that develops as we go along. So I kind of could enjoy that ride as I'm going. And this presented none of that. It was ultimately a very cold, clinical, mathematical process. I'm like, why do I want to waste 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes of my life doing this? Because ultimately, I'm going to gain no satisfaction from it. So the rest of them played that. Ben won. Let's hope that we never see that fucking thing ever again. Let's go to some news. Here is the news. So news. I was going to mention that Renegade Games have announced a G.I. Joe version of Axis and Allies coming this year. I'm not totally sold on it. I'm not a big I'm not a big G.I. Joe fan. Haven't actually played Axis and Allies in forever. The idea of different themed versions of Axis and Allies is interesting because I always was quite vaguely interested in the zombie one they did. Maybe with the right theme attached, might be something we could play. I don't know. Anyway, the big news is Mythic fucking Games. Oh my God, Mythic Games. What do we even say? So Mythic have announced in the last couple of days, went out to their backers of both Hell, which is a Viking game they're still waiting to deliver on, and Anastair, which is another big dice rolly adventure sort of game. Both two big things. They funded millions on these. I think there's about 7 million on Hell or more. Basically, the backers have been informed, hey, so if we were to go ahead and publish these games, what we'd essentially need is a fuckload more money off you. And think what essentially they've reached a point off. Even they know now that it's a fucking joke, and there's no way people are going to stump up for the extra cash for these things. So, like the stunning business partners they are, the gentlemen, the scholars, the saints that they are, they've decided to go, well, fuck all that then, we can't deliver. But hey, we're doing you a great deal. Simon have stepped in, and they have said that they are going to basically take these things back, strip them down, redesign them, do whatever Cool Mini want to do with these things. But they've promised, Cool Mini have, that anyone who has backed either of those two games will receive a base pledge copy for them. However, the wing in that is P&P and shipping will still have to be paid on top, which we know Cool Mini loves a P&P and shipping price, sometimes almost can equal base pledges in some of their projects, which is why I am out of Cool Mini, because then, no. But that's for you to decide. But anyway, where does that leave these guys, these backers? Well, they're fucked, basically. There's people there that are probably 700-800, I don't know, sunk into these things, maybe more. There's big money sunk into these projects. Hell was like a big miniatures game. So now they're left in the position of their money's gone. They're not going to get what they've actually ordered, especially all the add-ons. Anyone who's added add-ons and expansion content, all that shit, that's all gone. That's not coming anyway. Cool Mini have said that that's not coming their way. So all of that's gone. And ultimately, whatever the final products, whenever they eventually arrive via Cool Mini, which are obviously clearly going to do another Kickstarter campaign for these, whenever that arrives, you're still going to need to pay shipping on top of that to get your base pledge of these games. You will not be getting all the extra content that you've paid for already, and everything you spent on that is gone. Which, frankly, is okay. Fair dues to Cool Mini to offer that, because they don't necessarily have to. However, by the sounds of it, they're going to do all right out of it. Backers, you're all fucked, aren't you, really? You've been fucked over again. I mean, I suppose you've been less fucked over than some of the other backers in R6 Siege, but ultimately, fuck off, Mythic Games. I mean, the only thing they've got outstanding now, I think, is Monster Apocalypse, which at some point I clearly expect them to either go beg, borrowing, steering, or that's just going to, once they've delivered 6 Siege, which potentially they might be doing, then I think that will be the story of that. They're shut. Monster Apocalypse and that will be the story of Mythic. What a shit show. I mean, there's not much we can say on the matter with them. I mean, anyone who's still backing, or supporting, or have anything pleasant to say about Mythic, frankly, what the fuck are you talking about? I did see that King of Average put out an unboxing video of Six Siege recently. What the fuck? Why you would promote... I mean, I'm sure there's an interest in that game, but why I would, in good conscience, not be putting out any content to support Mythic at this point. I just think it's a shambles. It's horrific how they treat people. I am sorry that you're going through that. What a shit show. This is the I suppose the gamble you take when you kickstart stuff. Always read the fine print. Always have a look at what projects those companies are running. Are they running multiple projects? Is there lots of stuff up in the air? I think if you'd done your homework, it was plausible to spot what was coming, especially after Deepest Darkest Dungeon. Anyway, enough of that depressing shit. Mythic Games, what a shower of cunts. So it was my birthday. That was the thing. It was my birthday. The other week, I had the shittest birthday ever. I had to go to fucking work, and no one was in, and it was hell. And it was I announced to the fucking office, this is the shittest birthday ever. And yeah, so there we go. I had a birthday. However, I got some presents. Thank you, birthday delivering things. The boys gave me some. It's good having grown-up children. They buy you stuff. How lovely. Isaac got me this T-shirt, which is more dab, less oof. I have no idea. It's clearly a thing that's lost on me. Dabbing is this. I know that. He's shown me that a couple of times, but hey, there we go. The boys. So yeah, George, bless his little socks. He got me the Equalizer 3-movie collection. Not seen the third movie yet. Denzel Washington doing the Equalizer. These kind of like dad movies, if I'm honest with you. It's kind of like Wish Fulfillment sort of stuff, but they're quite violent and quite entertaining. And it's Denzel Washington. I mean, fuck me, it's Denzel Washington beating people up. If you've not seen them, they are quite good fun. They're not high art, but you know what? Pretty solid, good old fun of watching bad guys getting brutally beating the shit up. So that's your jam, baby, then go for that. He also picked me up, because we were talking about Dune Imperium, Dune Imperium Uprising, which is, it's essentially, it's like a sequel, a kind of board game. It uses a lot of the base stuff from the original Dune Imperium, tweaks stuff, refines it and changes it, and kind of this represents the second movie, kind of. So that brings in sandworms into this game in fights, which could be quite interesting, especially if you get a sandworm in a fight and you win the fight with the sandworm, you double the rewards from that fight, which seems, that sounds a bit spicy. The only other, the board's changed in this, but also you've got spies now in this game, which is units you can put down to certain areas on the board where there's a spy marker, which essentially you lock in, and they give you a couple of options. You can, at certain points, bring them back, and you can gain like cards and bits by doing that, some sort of resources, but also having them on the board allows you later on, if that area, that part of the board they represent is cop blocked, you can still get your miniature down, your character down to do those actions. So it's kind of giving you a bit of forward planning and thinking. I think all the cards have been changed and rebalanced, and there's different injury cards and there's different fight cards in there, and as I say, the board layout is slightly different. I know they've added the shield wall now in the game, where you can actually be protected from the worms with a shield wall, but if you take that out, then it's free for all. Fascinating. I haven't really unboxed that fully or looked at it. I just skimmed it last night just to kind of get the idea of what the differences are. Sounds fascinating. I don't know if I'm going to get that to the table before this weekend or this weekend, because I still haven't, as I say, sorted all the shit out in there. But interesting. And another thing it does, it plays a team game. It can play up to 6 players, that version, where 2 teams across the board, which I don't know whether we'll ever get around to doing that, but sounds kind of cool. So there, Dune Imperium Uprising. Looks cool. I also got that. Mr. Ollie bought me that, which is England Screaming by Sean Hogan. It is a book that kind of niche. It essentially takes a bunch of British horror movies, anyway, from like the late 70s through the 80s, and kind of weaves a tapestry around all the characters as if they all were in a shared universe. So you've got Damien Thorne in here, Dracula turns up in here, John Mueller from the Medusa Touch, Medusa Touch? I think it is the Medusa Touch. fucking brilliant movie. I know that the Dead Meat or the Mind the Gap. What's the fucking thing? It's Raw Meat. It was called, but it was something else. Deathline, about the fucked up cannibal family in the tube station. They're in there. All this stuff. Hellraiser's in here. But all intertwined in a narrative that tries to kind of produce essentially some weird MCU abomination shared universe for these characters in these weird world. I haven't read it all yet. I haven't read much of it at all, but fascinating. He's just done another volume, which is doing the same, but with a lot of American movies at the same sort of time period. So that might be something, if this is really cool, to go and have a look at. But yeah, I liked the concept idea of it. I'm looking forward to seeing how that works, because I do like this grotty sort of 70s, 80s British sort of horror period of time. Kind of cool and grotty and horrible. So that, if that's of interest to anyone. And then Succession, the whole series of Succession. I've never watched a lot of Succession. I watched, I think, the first couple of seasons when we had Sky, and then we didn't have it anymore, and I haven't watched the rest of it. So, a show about a bunch of rich arseholes being arseholes. Your mileage may vary, but it has Brian Cox, who swears gloriously, and I do love a bit of Brian Cox, and a good cast. And it's one I'm quite interested in seeing how that all played out in the end. I can't imagine well for anyone. But yeah, that. So all of that, I've been watching Traitors, that's now finished. I quite enjoyed that. If you've never watched it, if you're a big fan of social deduction games, I quite enjoyed how it played out as a TV show. So if you're intrigued by that, it is worth a watch. I quite enjoyed where it went, and they're looking for participants for the third season. I was like, oh, I don't know. So that also obviously deep into the depths of Game of Thrones season 7. We've now started with the boys. I have engaged my popcorn brain for this. Because I know the last 2 seasons are lacking. We leap around. It's spectacle, certainly over anything else at this point in time. There is some interesting plot decisions made. I have come to the point of going, we've got the big TV now. We've got a big TV for this. So I'm like, you know what? I am just going to now enjoy these on purely the popcorn level, detach my brain from what could have been and just enjoy it for that. And I'll see how we go, because there is some damned big spectacle to come on this show, and George, I think, is up for that. I'm enjoying it. We've watched it all in one big run. I know what's coming. We all know what's coming. I always never had a massive issue with how it all ended up. In that it was a rushed production. Could have done with more breathing room those last couple of seasons. Probably could have done with another season or so just to breathe all that story out. But hey, we never got that. But yeah, so I'm in and ready, waiting for the popcorn fun to begin. So there's that going on. Me personally, what's going on with us? Well, I still need to edit the video being bended, which I still haven't managed to do because I haven't had the time to do that. I still need to film the companion video for the Sunday boys. I still got lots of stuff to do. It will get done eventually, but yeah, time allowing. This time is at the moment is tough. I've got half term off in February, so potentially, maybe I might be able to use some of that to kind of catch up on some of this stuff. We'll see. But that's it. That's where we are. That's what's going on. It's January is nearing now and over. Thank fuck for that. There's the hint of some daylight coming, and we've still got February, March to come, so we're not out of the woods yet, people. But and that's it. That's what's going on. So that's where I am at. I will obviously be back with another one of these videos at some point soon, because I can chuck this out and we can connect. And if I can get that played, I might give you some words on that. There's lots of other stuff. We still need, as I say, to do deep dives into other things. Lots to do. Anyway, no shortage of things to do, just the time to do it all in. So, stay safe out there. Play some board games. Enjoy yourself. Don't back on anything from Mythic. And I think that's it. And more dab, less oof, of course. A mantra we should all live by, I feel. I think. Bye.